motorbike shots to new heights.
Guys, how frustrating is it to find a great pair of jeans? They never have the right color, style, or size. Too tight here, too loose there, too long here? I have the perfect solution for you. M. Taylor Custom Jeans. Stop spending hours trying stuff on. Download the free M. Taylor app on iOS or Android. Standard jeans use just 2 measurements. M. Taylor Custom Jeans use 7 different measurements to give you the perfect fit. Design your own custom jeans for just $79. Choose from hundreds of styles. Delivered right to your door. Download the M. Taylor app. M. Taylor measures you digitally and is 20% more accurate than a professional tailor, all from home.
It was so easy to be measured by M. Taylor. It took less than 30 seconds.
This is definitely my favorite pair of jeans.
They fit perfectly.
To get custom jeans, shirts, or suits, your phone can measure you right now with free shipping and a money-back guarantee at just $79. Get your new favorite pair of jeans today. M. Taylor, available now on the Apple App Store, Android, and mtaylor.com.
Brainerd International Raceway. Fans came out to check out Steel Commander race number 2. And Jason, like, we're kind of sitting here a little baffled in a good way. If I had said to you at the beginning of the season that by the time we roll out of round number 4, Bobby Fong would be leading this championship, would you have taken me on a bet maybe a little bit?
Well, I would have been hopeful of that, but you can see it's happened. Bobby Fong leading by 8 points over Jay Gagne. Josh Herron 19 points back. Cam Peterson right in the thick of this, as is Loris Baz, as is SDK still, even with that DNF today. Got 6 guys within 42 points, and unfortunately with Cameron Beaubier out there, that I think his championship run is obviously going to be over, but there's going to be so much mix and matching, I think, over the next couple rounds at both the Ridge and at Laguna Seca that this championship is really wide open.
The other thing I'm thinking about, too, is when is Cameron Beaubier going to come back? He wants to come back as soon as possible. We don't have a word on that yet. There was conversation about him trying to get back for his home race, WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, which is going to be key in terms of the points. So it's like right now for these rounds where Cameron Beaubier is out because he's got a lot of potential to win races, it's like you got to get as many points as you can because there are chances that Cameron Beaubier is going to come back and he would grab 25 or he's going to grab 20 or he's going to grab 16 depending on how he heals up. So very interesting times we have amongst us.
Yeah, and the kind of injury he has, though, is going to take some healing. That heel, I know, is a tough one to get right. So even if he comes back at Laguna, is he going to be capable of winning? And I think he's not going to come back until he feels like he can win.
But all eyes are on Bobby Fong and his lead in this championship as we get to do this again. We're going to the Ridge all the way across the United States. In about 12 days' time, we're going to be there. Can Bobby Fong and his team get it done again, or will the rest of this paddock have an answer? Can't wait to find out. For Hannah and Jason, I'm Greg. Thanks so much for joining us. Steel Commander Superbike race action from Brainerd International Raceway is done and dusted. See you next time.
Richmond, Virginia is a city of great contrast, from the historic state capitol to monuments honoring native sons like the founder of our country or the father of our country, George Washington, all the way to the modern downtown. It is a city that knows and understands its great history and its place in the United States. Now, when we go just a little bit down the road to Dinwiddie, Virginia, we have another kind of contrast this weekend, and it's big-time contrast to the Mission Foods NHRA Drag Racing Series and these Play NHRA Virginia Nationals as we go from one of the most rough surfaces on the NHRA NHRA Drag Racing Series Tour to arguably the smoothest surface we have for the entire season. Brian Lone's joined by two-time NHRA Funny Car World Champion Tony Pedregon. So, Tony, we're going to go from what some would say the worst surface on the tour to the best surface on the tour. How do the best teams make use of the best surface in the heat?
They're going to have to beat the heat for starters. We're going to see temperatures in the mid to upper 90s. That's going to make a track surface at about 140, even 145 degrees. The name of the game is going to be located just behind the engine in that bell housing. That is the clutch. He who can slip the clutch will have the best success. We're going from thinner air to elevation, but they might be able to beat this track. It's, if not the smoothest, one of the top 3 smoothest on the circuit, so there should be some good runs even in this kind of temperature.
We're bringing you first round qualifying coverage today, which could be the best conditions of the weekend, and a team that wants to keep on the momentum and on the gas pedal is Tony Schumacher, the 8-time Top Fuel World Champion, the winningest Top Fuel driver in history with 87 career victories, picked up his latest in Bristol, Tennessee. The team was able to navigate that racetrack with their Leatherwood Distillery, Michael Waltrip Brewing Company Top Fueler, in ways that other teams couldn't. It was his second final in a row, and his second final against Doug Coletta. Doug got Epping. He got this one. Now we take a look here at the championships, the race wins, the final rounds. Tony, this isn't one slice. This is all the slices.
You get all of them here. You get the whole pizza. With Tony Schumacher, this is arguably a guy that can make a difference. He has a good car. It's tailor-made for warmer conditions. That's why the last 2 races, we've seen him in the late rounds.
Bruno Massel is schwitzing in the pits with Tony Schumacher.
Coming off his big victory the last time we saw him, Tony Schumacher is back. The 8-time Top Fuel World Champ has kind of got his mojo back. Tony, strong early in the year, a couple stumbles as of late. What's changed for this team?
Well, I think, Mike Neff, he came from Funny Car and getting together with Phil Schuler now, John Schaefer, all of them working together with new pipe, new parts, and new pieces. It just took time, and the adversity is the most difficult thing in a drag race where things take 3 seconds. Having that patience to learn the car and understand it. That's what they're doing. We're great in the summer months. We're really good at winning because it's difficult. We need to get the performance up so that when it's Reading, Dallas, Vegas, and Pomona, when we need those championship runs at that high caliber, we'll have it.
Now we have to talk about Austin Prock, and the only thing hotter than the weather here in Virginia this weekend could be the beginning of this young man's funny car career. Driving the Cornwall Quality Tools Chevrolet Camaro, he is the points leader and has won 2 races so far.
But every race for Austin Prock is a test, and they've been able to outperform, be more consistent than anyone. The closest car to this in terms of performance is his teammate John Force, but for Austin Prock, starting in that #1 position and just mowing through the field.
Robert Goddard is considered the father of modern rocketry. Well, the father of Austin Prock may be considered the father of modern funny car tuning. Look at what this car's done and what they've both done together.
Well, you add a young talent like Austin Prock that's good off the starting line, has good car control. You combine him with arguably the best tuner that we've seen in the last 15 years, and you get to that winner's circle.
Joe Costello is with Austin Prock.
The Prock Rocket has liftoff. Following his second win of the season at the Super Grip Thunder Valley Nationals, Austin Prock and his family tuned team are looking for a strong performance. Austin, what must you do to maintain this trajectory?
Well, we're really going to have to start off on a hot foot this weekend, Q1. These are really difficult track conditions we're going to be faced with this weekend. We're going to see track temperatures we probably have never seen in our lifetime. So getting off on the right foot is going to be huge, and just got to keep analyzing this race car, and leaving on time will be all right.
And those same factors will apply to the Pro Stock category. Jake Coughlin Jr. came back in this year with Elite Motorsports, the Skag Power Equipment Chevrolet Camaro. Now 2 victories. Won the 4-wide race in Las Vegas and wins at Bristol against Greg Anderson, who seemed unstoppable.
And the wins start strong for Jake Coughlin Jr. He started in the #3 qualifying position. When you best Troy Coughlin Jr., Erica, and Greg Anderson on the way to the winner's circle, you've had a good day.
He is a man who is seeking another championship, and this is what his first full season back has looked like so far. 8 starts, 2 victories, 2 final rounds. We can see a round record of 12-6, and now he is with Bruno Massel in the pits.
Jeg Coughlin Jr. has already got 2 victories on tour this year. And, Jeg, it's a comeback year for you, one of the many comebacks you've had over your career. But you know what? It's a different Jeg Coughlin. You're usually a little bit more focused, a little more direct. You're a little more laid back these days. What's going on?
Well, maybe I've matured a couple of years. Who knows? I think being a part of Elite Motorsports, Richard's excited to have me back and just wants me to get out and drive, do what I love to do, and that's drive these race cars. So feels great to be behind the wheel. Randy and everyone from Skag has got the same vibe. So feels good. Reunited with the fans, reunited with a lot of the racetracks that I haven't been to in years. So I think it's just I'm in a good state frame of mind, and this pro stock stuff's tough, so we got to stay in our good behavior, so to speak.
And we'll find out if that good behavior is good enough. A guy who has just been running roughshod over the pro stock motorcycle category in ways, frankly, no one in history ever has is Gage Herrera. He set the NHRA Pro Stock Motorcycle consecutive win record with 9 straight victories. One of them a dramatic semifinal win over Matt Smith on a hole shot.
And that was the big win right there that guaranteed him that he would get to the final and hold that trophy. But this is no typo. Gage Herrera started in that number 4 qualifying position and earned this one for the team.
With respect to Frank the Tank, we're going streaking, baby. We got Bob Glidden and Gage Herrera now deadlocked in a round win and consecutive win streak. That is, again, these two guys are on parallel tracks. The late Bob Glidden, inarguably the greatest pro stock racer of all time. Can Gage Herrera establish himself as the greatest consecutive winner of all time? We go to the pits to ask him.
Gage Herrera is once again chasing history. First it was Dave Schultz, now he's tied with Bob Glidden and a chance to make history all his own. Gage, how has this experience tested you?
I mean, it's tested me for sure. Going back to basically my grassroots of bracket racing, juniors, the bikes, the cars. I mean, it's been a challenge to stay consistent on the lights, stay consistent on the bike, and I got a awesome machine, so I can always rely on that. But I never would have dreamed of chasing history like this, and I'm trying to basically I'm tied with Bob Glidden right now. But if I could surpass him, I mean, it's going to be amazing, and we'll see what happens here in Virginia.
There are people that wilt under pressure, and then there are people like Gage Herrera who become tough as steel. When we come back, the broiling hot temperatures of Virginia challenge our racers, and qualifying begins.
Tonight, in your spacious La Quinta suite, your eyes could use a break after a long day of seeing, things. But hey, free waffles always make you forget. Because at La Quinta, we work as hard as you do, so that tonight you can be the agent of destruction. We get it, you've been building connections all day. Go ahead, demolish that personal record. Tonight, La Quinta, tomorrow you shine.
When migraine strikes, you're faced with a choice. Accept the trade-offs of treating, or push through the pain and symptoms. With Ubrelvy, there's another option. One dose quickly stops migraine in its tracks. Treat it anytime, anywhere, without worrying where you are or if it's too late. Do not take with strong CYP3A4 inhibitors. Allergic reactions to Ubrelvy can happen. Most common side effects were nausea and sleepiness. Migraine pain relief starts with you. Ask about Ubrelvy. Learn how AbbVie could help you save.
Every Saturday, your game is on Fox. Because here, we got the guy that swings harder, the guy that runs faster, hits further, deals nastier. Saturdays on Fox, we got the swag, the scoops, the smiles, the steals. We got the pop, the rips, the threads, the wheels. We got the slides, the kicks, the shuffles, the feels, and picks for the highlight reel. Because Saturdays on Fox, we got you. No big deal.
Guys, how frustrating is it to find a great pair of jeans? They never have the right color, style, or size. Too tight here, too loose there, too long here? I have the perfect solution for you. M. Taylor Custom Jeans. Stop spending hours trying stuff on. Download the free M. Taylor app on iOS or Android. Standard jeans use just 2 measurements. M. Taylor Custom Jeans use 7 different measurements to give you the perfect fit. Design your own custom jeans for just $79. Choose from hundreds of styles. Delivered right to your door. Download the M. Taylor app. M. Taylor measures you digitally and is 20% more accurate than a professional tailor, all from home.
It was so easy to be measured by M. Taylor. It took less than 30 seconds.
This is definitely my favorite pair of jeans.
They fit perfectly.
To get custom jeans, shirts, or suits, your phone can measure you right now with free shipping and a money-back guarantee at just $79. Get your new favorite pair of jeans today. M. Taylor, available now on the Apple App Store, Android, and mtaylor.com.
Get ready to race down the track with Mission Foods. It's a green light for the NHRA Mission Foods Drag Racing Series, packed with fast action and tasty products. Fully loaded tacos, fast wraps, piled high nachos. Whatever you crave, Mission will help you be race ready with easy-to-make recipes that will take your race day to the finish line. Keep your racing delicious and enjoy all the mouth-watering action. Brought to you by Mission Foods. Too fast, too tasty.
The Play NHRA Virginia Nationals is sponsored by Mission Foods. That's Too Fast, Too Tasty. and by Play NHRA. Play NHRA brings fantasy gaming and betting to NHRA drag racing. We are back here at Virginia Motorsports Park in Dinwiddie, Virginia. Beautiful part of the world, and it is definitely a racetrack that can draw them out. You can see the crowd coming into the facility still here as we continue our round one qualifying coverage. Our track facts from Virginia Motorsports Park, a picturesque location, of course, and a racetrack that has been off and on part of the NHRA Tour since 1994. This is the 14th national event we have had at this facility. Corey McLenathan, John Force, and Warren Johnson all have 4 victories. Matt Hines has a pair of them in Pro Stock Motorcycle. You know, the Play NHRA initiative has been a big splash in the world of drag racing over the last few weeks. You can scan this flow code for more information or go to nhra.com/Play NHRA for your way to get involved in NHRA on the fantasy level, gaming level, and of course the gambling level as well. And when we talk gambling, Tony, we've got to talk about the odds. And the odds this weekend are familiar for Gage Herrera, but they've moved around for everybody else.
Yeah, they constantly move. Believe it or not, they will move after qualifying, right after a first round potentially. But the key to success here might be parlay.
We now go to the starting line. Angie Smith. This is the Denso pink bike, of course, for Smith on the right-hand side of the drag strip. Across the way will be Chase Van Zandt. Now, Tony, both of these bikes qualify upper half. Van Zandt averaging about a 6 spot, whereas Angie's averaging about a 5 spot.
Yeah, and I think we're going to get to see how much an improvement the atmospheric conditions are going to make, regardless of the heat. This is a smooth track. It doesn't have those, what racers will call ski jumps. Now, at speeds in excess of 200, let alone 300 miles an hour for the nitro cars, it does become those small imperfections on the track do become ski jumps.
We'll find out just how smooth Van Zandt and Smith can be off the starting line. Van Zandt, a very sporty 105.60 foot time. Some smoke out of the back of Smith's bike. And Chase Van Zandt, 679, 197. And a lot of smoke there for Smith in the shutdown area. And now it is Richard Gadsden and John Hall. Rookie season for Gadsden on the Revzilla. Vance and Hines, Suzuki Hayabusa. Tony, he's sitting third in the points, and John Hall has ridden very well to a runner-up finish earlier this year.
Yeah, Gadsden was the number 2 qualifier a couple of weeks ago in Bristol. Seems to be gaining momentum, getting more comfortable on the machine.
His crew chief, Eddie Krawick, looks on from behind the motorcycle. Of course, Hall riding as part of the Denso Matt Smith racing team. The quickest 60-foot time of the round so far to Gadsden. He could go number 1 here. And Gadsden, 676.3, is now the number 1 qualifier. And of course, the big question is, will it hang in there? Because Matt Smith, who has been riding very quickly, has been qualifying at the top of the field, and the Denso Ironman-style motorcycle will be lined up next against Gage Herrera, who is on a win streak the likes of which we've not seen in 40 years.
I'd be real surprised if quick time sticks.
I would be too, because Gage was quicker than Gadsden was to 60 feet. And at the finish line stripe, it is a 670 at 200 for Gage Herrera. He's number 1. That is the track record by more than 5/100ths of a second in this first qualifying session. As we look at the order after one session, Herrera leads his teammate Gadsden. Smith is third. Van Zandt, Hall, Arana, Steve Johnson, and Gianna Evaristo make up the top half of the field. Let's talk to Richard Gadsden.
Well, Richard Gadsden goes 676 to take the number 1 spot, just to be outdone by your teammates. Just goes 670 flat. But how do you feel about the performance of yourself and the bike so far this season?
Man, I'm riding a rocket. I've made a few mistakes this year. It's part of the growing pains. That round right there, I missed a button on the 1-2, so I probably could have rivaled his 670, I think he went. But, it's just a process, and I'm enjoying it.
And it's a process that's been fun for us to watch, as he has come a very long way in a very short time. Epping winner Troy Coughlin Jr. lining up next to Aaron Stanfield, a Chicago finalist. As we watch these two cars assault a racetrack that's now over 130 degrees and rising by the minute. Tony, you heard the revs stay way up for Coughlin. He spun the tires.
Yeah, it started within 60 feet, 104. That wasn't good, and you could see how it compounded from there.
A pair of Elite Motorsports teammates. We have Jake Coughlin Jr., who picked up the win in Bristol. We talked to him about that. And, of course, Erica Enders, the 6-time champion, going to try to put herself back in a most advantageous qualifying position. She's averaging just under a number 3 spot, whereas Jag, over the course of this season, has been qualifying almost as well at 4.
Well, this was the semifinal just a couple of weeks ago, and it was really Erica that came into that round with the better car. I'm sure she'd like to solve and resolve whatever issues they had in that semifinal matchup against Jag Jr.
Cat's Eye Gold of Skag and the Johnson's Horsepower Garage Red, nailing performance as well for Erica Enders. Both cars make the early transition very well at 1 second flat, 60-foot time. Walked across the finish line, 6:58.6 puts Enders on top of the field for the time being. A bizarre situation has unfolded literally at the starting line as Dallas Glenn accidentally ejected the parachutes, Tony.
Yeah, I thought maybe it was something electronic, and it just seems like that was the cause of the parachutes coming out right there. The car was still running, and it was that little delay. They may have had time to put the packs in. Usually a two-man job. I'm just surprised that there's not more jumping in, but at this stage, they're racing their teammate, and they may allow him the courtesy to get the chutes in.
The best possible thing that could have happened to Dallas Glenn is the fact that his teammate and KB Racing, one of the principals of the team, Greg Anderson, is on the other side of the racetrack. Now, they're going to wait for as long as they can. Ambient temperature, we can't say it enough, is very high, and these engines idling will build some heat into them, and it's going to be a matter of the starter directing them ahead here in a moment. Okay, the wardrobe malfunction now repaired. Dallas Glenn and the Rad Torque Systems car will make a run down this racetrack. Tony, we're already quicker in this first round of qualifying than we were all weekend in Bristol.
It just goes to show you the track is smooth. While it does have a lot more temperature than what we saw in Bristol, it's a combination of the track surface and the density altitude.
Greg Anderson is good, but Dallas Glenn is better. Anderson shuts the car off, and Dallas Glenn goes 6:61.2 as Glenn will move in to a very nice top half spot. Take a look at our qualifying results after one session. Enders leads the field 58.6 with Eric Latino just 4th out behind. The number 8 spot is Jake Kaufman Jr. Val Smeelan currently sits on the bump, but let's talk to the number 1 qualifier after session 1. Eric Enders is with Bruno.
Well, after one session of Pro Stock, Erica Enders sitting number 1. Erica, you're a Houston native. You're used to these hot, nasty conditions. How do you manage as a driver?
It's definitely challenging because when your core body temperature goes up, your brain starts to think a little bit less. In my case, that happens more often than not, but it's definitely a brutal one today. We should have been doing some summer training for this, but really proud of my guys for having a great handle on my race car. Again, fastest car on the property for now. We wanted to get that first one down and under our belts because as we progress through the day, it's going to get hotter and trickier out there, but with Mark Ingersoll and Tim Freeman at the helm, I got all the faith in the world. So for JHG and Melling and Skag, I'm really excited to be racing here in Virginia again.
Remember, Cosmo Kramer also a big proponent of managing core temperature. We ride along with Bo Butner, who's back in a 500 cubic inch Pro Stocker this weekend. The Johnson's Horsepower Garage onboard takes us to the quarter mile. When we come back, we take you nitro racing.
It's the only thing that matters on this track, and it's the only thing that matters in this field. If you're not making the most of every second out here, consider yourself second place. That's why I run Fendt, with a full lineup of industry-leading machines that maximize my efficiency. If every day is a race against the clock, I have yet to lose.
Get ready to play NHRA. Play NHRA is a campaign bringing fantasy, gaming, and betting to NHRA drag racing. Scan the flow code to see options available in your state. Sign up for an account and earn bonus bets to use towards NHRA fantasy gaming and betting. Get started at the official portal for NHRA betting. Play NHRA. 21 plus. Please refer to affiliated operators' terms and conditions. Void where prohibited. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
You have to earn the right to be in this show. You got to earn it.
10 years from today, Lisa Schneider will become the undisputed leader of a ginormous pack of dogs. Rescue dogs, to be exact. A second act made possible by the career reskilling courses Lisa's already taking now with AARP. To help make sure her income lives.
Now you can get a free footlong at Subway. Just buy any footlong in the app and get one free. Just scan the QR code and enter promo code FLBOGO. It only works from the other side of the screen, buddy.
You still got a landline in your house.
Order now on the Subway app.
I'm out here telling people how they can save money with Experian. With Experian, you can see your recurrent subscriptions. And with one click, you can cancel it.
I'd like that.
It's so easy, I think even Asher can do it.
That's amazing. Thanks, bud.
Get started now with the Experian app.
They say where there's smoke, there's fire. June 27 through 30 at the Summit Racing Equipment NHRA Nationals. Get your tickets at summitmotorsportspark.com. Kids 12 and under free with general admission and free parking. Summit Racing Equipment NHRA Nationals.
Our coverage of the Summit Racing Equipment Nationals will kick off Sunday, June 30th at 2 p.m. on FS1. Then at 4 p.m., you'll watch the first round of eliminations on FS1. Then you'll make the switch to your local Fox affiliate at 5 p.m. Eastern to watch the final rounds of elimination from one of the most exciting and largest attended races of the season. We kick off Nitro Funny Car qualifying as Session 1. We have Terry Haddock on one side, and this man, Jim Campbell, the Herzhauser Racing Team, which is based in Virginia. The Captain Paul Watson car, the T&D Express trucking car of Terry Haddock. Let's be honest here. Terry Haddock has become a mid-390s player, and this may be a type of condition that suits this T&D Express team.
If I'm not mistaken, they've qualified in the top half the last couple of races. And look, for every high-power tuner that doesn't like these conditions, there's probably 3 of the independents that do.
Haddock's car went about 330 feet. Campbell's car went 3 inches, smoked the tires. He whacked the throttle again, and it will be Haddock at 469 getting there first. A salute to the hardy drag racing fans of the Richmond, Virginia area. They have come out by the thousands and the thousands in this heat. It is awesome to see a grandstand this full in these type of oppressive conditions as we have Dave Richards. Tony, they front half this car between Bristol and here. It's been a thrash for the Versatrans Bluebird Turf team. And across the racetrack, the Blaze Exhaust Probes team of Jim Dunn, driven by Buddy Hull. Nothing doing for Richards, and for Buddy Hull. He goes down the racetrack, an ET of 418.5 at 307. It was safe, but it was a full pull. Cruz Pedregon now in the starting line. The Snap-on Makers and Fixers Dodge making his way back. The car, it's not been past the second round all season. They have to do something about that. Blake Alexander, who skipped Bristol with the head contractor's Pronto Auto Service Center car across. But what's the formula here for Cruz?
Well, there's one of the drivers, one of the few probably drivers and tuners that prefer these hotter conditions. They feel they have a chance. They put up a very good fight against Austin Prock in that second round. The car bobbled the cylinder. It left with only 7 cylinders. It picked it back up. It's not often you see that from a Nitro Funny car, but they seem to be making progress. I wouldn't be surprised if we see them in the late rounds in the near future.
Alexander sitting in pre-stage, coming up on the 1-year anniversary of his win in Norwalk, Ohio. Certainly like to add to that funny car tally here this weekend. Alexander smokes the tires before the 330. Cruz Pedregon's car put a cylinder out, began to smoke the tires, and he runs 419. That means Buddy Hull stays number 1 for the moment.
Good early incremental numbers for the Snap-on car. Really good 60-foot time. The split from 330 to 660, less than a second. That's a good sign. But shortly after that, started slipping the tire.
It will be interesting to watch these teams figure this out over the course of the day. 3 shots in a single day is a rarity in the NHRA Tour, but that is the layout of this event. So Cruz Pedregon and team will look to build on those results. The Pep Boys drone shows us Paul Lee and Chad Green, the Bond Code Mustang, left-hand side of your screen, and the FTI Performance Silver Sport Power-Built Tools Dodge on the right. McLeod clutches, of course, as well as the body comes down around Paul Lee.
A lot of similarities between these two teams. Very good qualifiers, typically on the top half of the field, but both of them got bounced early in the Bristol race. I'm sure they're just wanting to get back on track, and you really talk about 2 cars that seem like they can master these conditions. Chad Green seems to be one of the best.
Well, this is looking like a sporting venture. How about you? 4:02.4, 320. Chad Green leaps to the forefront of qualifying. A 4:13 at 3:06 put Paul Lee second.
Would have been nearly identical had Paul Lee had 8 cylinders. You can see his car, raw fuel coming out of ignition misfire. Take a look at the top side of the screen. You can see it seems like it leaves with 8 cylinders. And there it is right there on the left bank if you're in the driver's seat. But for Chad Green, this is a very strong run, a 4:02 in conditions where you can see the heat waves.
When we come back, the top tier Nitro Funny cars, the best runners in the country, will be on the line, including Ron Capps. You're watching the NHRA on FS1.
And that's why I never drive those guys.
Party's over, big guy.
We're tired of hearing, I don't want to get my truck dirty.
With WeatherTech laser-measured floor liners, front and rear, a seat protector, and full bed protection, trucks are totally covered.
You just got WeatherTech.
Yeah, buddy.
Let's get dirty.
Drive worry-free with these American-made products at WeatherTech.com.
Just about anything belongs on a burger, as long as it has Sargento 100% real natural cheese. Unlike pasteurized processed cheese food, which is only required to contain 51% cheese. That's why all these people only use this.
Sargento.
We're real cheese people.
Tonight, in your spacious La Quinta suite, your eyes could use a break after a long day of seeing, things. But hey, free waffles always make you forget. Tonight, La Quinta. Tomorrow, you shine.
The best teams win. On the track and in the shop. Join the Gerber Collision and Glass team to start winning today. Every crash, crunch, and smash lets you earn while you learn. We provide the tools and training to help you get paid for what you're good at. Solving, hustling, fixing. In the art of repairing someone's ride and making their day. The best part? We have openings right now. Fast track your future. Scan the code or visit GerberCareers.com. Gerber Collision and Glass, proud sponsor of the NHRA.
We've come a long way together. From dirt tracks to super speedways and every track in between. Never backing down, pushing boundaries, and giving it everything we've got. Yeah, we've come a long way, but there's still a lot more road to run. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR.
When we made the switch to coterie diapers, our baby started sleeping better through the night and we had way less diaper changes. The material is incredibly soft, thin, and luxurious. It feels like clothing. If you want the best of the best for your baby, try coterie. You won't regret it.
Guys, how frustrating is it to find a great pair of jeans? Too tight here, too loose there, too long there? Standard jeans use just 2 measurements. Taylor custom jeans use 7 different measurements to give you the perfect fit. Your phone can measure you right now. Download the Taylor app on iOS or Android. Choose from hundreds of styles. Taylor measures you digitally and is 20% more accurate than a professional tailor. With free shipping and a money-back guarantee, get your new favorite pair of jeans today. Taylor, available on the Apple App Store or Android.
Gonna do the two-step, then cowboy boogie. Grab a sweetheart.
For all the things you can't grow in your apartment farm, there's Instacart.
We are back. That swimming pool, well, relatively lightly attended right now. Certainly will fill up later this afternoon at these Play NHRA Virginia Nationals at Virginia Motorsports Park in Dinwiddie, Virginia, just outside of Richmond. Our weekend coverage continues. This is opening round of qualifying coverage. 1 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. We'll bring you all the final qualifying coverage, the Mission Too Fast, Too Tasty challenges, as well as your final round elimination coverage on FS1 at 5 p.m. on Sunday. We have Alexis DeJoria, the Bandero Premium Tequila, GR Supra on one side, and Ron Capps, and the Napa Auto Care, GR Supra on the other. Del Worsham is going to try to dial up his best tune-up, as will Dean Antonelli for Ron Capps.
Yeah, and not quite as challenging considering the amount of heat that's on the track. It's not like it's 50 degrees and they don't have a lot of data. They do have data on extremely hot racetracks, and the key is for them to pick the proper target. And they've already seen that a 402 can be negotiated on this hot track.
Alexis's car spins down track, and we see Ron Capps run 421 at 286. His car began to give way as far as traction goes late in the run as well.
Yeah, and both these cars were really slowed down. They were set up to try to get down the racetrack, and I do believe when you look at Alexis's incremental numbers, her 330 foot, her 60 foot, she was about 600 to 700 slower than the Snap-on car. So it seemed like they tried to accelerate the car farther down the track. It just didn't have the momentum required under these conditions.
And this is the part that's going to be so interesting to watch, is how far you can take the car early and then keep it stuck to the ground. So far, Chad Green has proven a 402, as you mentioned, is possible. Dan Wilkerson on one side of the drag strip, and Bob Tasker III wearing the Ford Performance colors on the other. Skag Power Equipment for Wilkerson. What do we know about Tasker's car and what they're trying to accomplish?
Well, their last win came in Las Vegas at the 4-wide. They had a different combination. They tried a different setup that they had tested last year. It seemed to show more potential. They switched. They changed it. It did not allow them to get down a hot racetrack. So they put all those same parts, all the same pieces. It's cylinder heads, camshaft, supercharger, intake manifold, clutch, and we'll see how it performs in this kind of temperature.
The cagey tuner for Dan Wilkerson, of course, his father, Tim. Dan Wilkerson was off the throttle, 406 at 316 miles an hour for Tasca. Wilkerson goes to a 453.2.
It's a great starting point for any team that makes a full run under power, all 8 cylinders, and I'm pretty sure their approach had to be very conservative. We'll get another look. Take a look at Wilkerson's car. You can see the difference in the instant acceleration. You can see the raw fuel come out, but you know, a lot of it is how the tuners are setting the cars up. It seems like you can be aggressive early on in the racetrack.
You see that flicker of header flame late in the run for Bob Tasker III. Matt Hagan and J.R. Todd now in the starting line as Dan Wilkerson gets a little safety safari assist at the top end. The DHL GR Supra left-hand side, the Pep Boys drone looking down at the racetrack. Dodge Power Brokers SRT Hellcat Red Eye for Hagan. It was announced earlier this week, late last week, that Dodge brand has extended with Tony Stewart Racing, so they'll be wearing the Dodge colors for the next foreseeable future, the next few seasons. Meanwhile, it's been a busy week for J.R. Todd. He was actually at the Smithsonian this week, where a fire suit and helmet have been put on display. We'll have more on that story over the course of our race coverage this weekend. And that is how it's supposed to look to some degree, but neither of them are as quick as Chad Green. 406, 312 for Todd, 412 for Hagan.
Yeah, for Matt Hagan, had that run hung on, it would have may well have dipped into the 3-second range, accelerating very good. Stride for stride with Cruz's run from earlier, but Hagan, like Cruz, started to spin the tires. So again, it seems like the good portion of the racetrack is early. When you start to try to lock the clutch up, it could get a little dicey at the end of the track.
Been nothing dicey about this man's season. Austin Prock wearing the Cornwell Quality Tools colors for John Force Racing. That kind of stealthy black body as they lower it down around him. 79th career race, 3rd at this particular racetrack. The first 2, of course, coming in Top Fuel. And for John Force, the Peak Performance Chevrolet Camaro colors. A 4-time winner at this racetrack, the most funny car victories of anybody, wearing the John Brute Force name down the side.
These are both of the quickest cars, 2 of the quickest cars, 2 of the most consistent cars that we've seen. Whether it's cool, whether it's warm, no accident that they are 1 and 2 in the points, but for Austin Prock just coming off of a win 2 weeks ago.
No matter what the temperature is, you can put your money on this guy. Is Austin Prock, 4:02.7, 3 thou behind Chad Green at 318 miles an hour. So after 1 round of qualifying, the Green Machine is number 1.
Yeah, and I think this may turn out to be the coolest track temperature that they see. We know that in an hour and a half, 2 hours from now, when they hit the track in the middle of the day, that track temperature is going to be near 145 degrees. I don't know if any of these teams will be able to match this kind of performance. And then we'll see how much the sun comes off, how behind schedule they are. But this first run is such an important setup run. You can see John Force at about the 8th mile just starting to spin the tires.
Parachutes out for Prock as we get a look at our first round qualifying results. Chad Green leading the field, and it's Prock, Tasker, Todd, Hagan, Lee, Hull, and Pedregon, the quickest 8 funny cars. Richards is on the bump spot. Let's go down to the top end with Bruno.
Down here with Bob Tasker, who is all smiles, like he won the U.S. Nationals. And he told me, Bob, why are you so excited about number one qualifying session.
Hey, listen, that's the hottest racetrack we've been down all year. We haven't even come close to going down a hot racetrack. But, listen, we just went back to parts that we had in the junk pile. We have stuff so old in this car that I don't even know if I should run it. But the bottom line is we just had to slow this thing down, pull a ton of power away from it. You're just not going to be able to run the horsepower down these hot racetracks. We tried it through, changing the clutch setup. Bottom line is Todd and Aaron made the right decision. A lot of work for the guys, but you just saw the outcome.
And that outcome is good enough for third after that first tricky session. When we come back, it'll be Top Fuel Dragsters and Brittany Force who will be looking to course correct her season-long qualifying slump. The Top Fuelers are on deck.
Looking for what comes next? For that moment when everything finally...
1 minute!
Whichever path you choose, it starts here.
Some have a drive to seek the outer limits, to ride the edge, testing themselves against the odds and the competition. To put life on the line, to go 330 miles per hour while pushing 11,000 horsepower for more. Some may call them rebels. We call them NHRA drag racers. Get your tickets to the fastest motorsport in the world today. Meet us in Norwalk, June 27th through 30th, Seattle, July 19th through 21st, and Sonoma, July 26th through 28th. Buy your tickets early at NHRA.com.
Real-world rideability meets racetrack-level performance. With a bike that can perform anywhere, you're going to want to ride it everywhere. The bar has officially been reset. The Suzuki GSX 8R, the new standard of sport.
The cockroach, resilient creatures, true miracles of evolution. Where there is one, others aren't far behind. Always scavenging for food, the cockroach will...
Well, that's horrifying.
Near its favorite...
Ortho Home Defense Max Indoor Insect Barrier. One application kills and prevents bugs for 365 days.
Not in my house, you don't.
Nature's wild. Your home doesn't have to...
La Quinta Suite, your eyes could use a break after a long day of seeing, things. But hey, free waffles always make you forget. Tonight, La Quinta. Tomorrow, you shine.
I always knew I wanted to pursue a career in music. And throughout that path, I've eaten Taco Bell. It allows me to free up money and time to do what I love to do.
The fire department coffee display, good on there for a free sample. Hopefully they got the ice stuff this weekend because it does not seem like you're going to be running for a hot cup down there. But for fire department coffee, been a great partner with the NHRA, the official coffee of the National Hot Rod Association, a veteran and first responder owned and operated business. They support a lot of great people and charities. Jasmine Salinas, the Scrappers Top Fuel Dragster, on the starting line next to Dan Mercier. Mercier has been one of the pleasant surprises of the 2024 season. His car has been consistent, and he went to his first career semifinal in Chicago, Illinois. Mercier first and Jasmine second as far as the tire smoke goes. Jasmine just before the 330-foot block. She goes a 465 at 163.
So they had the early part of the run right for Jasmine Salinas, very aggressive in 60 feet, and that is exactly how you have to attack this racetrack. They just didn't slow it down enough. See both cars leaving. Like you said, Brian, nothing but good things to say about Dan Mercier. He's done such a good job taking what Rob Wendland did, his former crew chief, looking at the notes, just missing it. Is likely not a lot of data on a racetrack with this kind of temperature for Mercier. They just need to slow it down much earlier in the run.
To kick things off this season, the first car to go down was Jerry Freeman's Top Fuel Dragster, as driven by Cameron Ferret. Came off the starting line, and these guys are really in the process of still figuring this car out. Put out cylinders early. Cameron Ferret coasted to an elapsed time of 5:38. We are now back to the starting line. Sean Reed, the Reed Trucking and Excavating Machine out of the state of Washington. Josh Hart from Ocala, Florida. For Sean Reed, it is the 46th career race, first time he's ever raced at this racetrack. Rob Wendland, who we just mentioned when we talked about Dan Mercier's car, left that team to be the full-time crew chief for Reed. And for the R&L Carriers top fueler, it is Ron Douglas. These guys have kind of been beating their head against the wall this year.
Yeah, they were once a top half qualifying team. They've seemed to be somewhere in the middle of the pack. They're looking to make some improvements on the racetrack.
John Stewart has begun consulting with this team, trying to help them out of the muck and mire that they've been stuck in. They carried a pretty decent run there, but it is going to be Reed to go 4:06.9 at 305 miles an hour. That is the best run we've seen so far this session. Again, carrying the car down racetrack before smoking the tires.
Well, cylinder out, you can hear the engine just start to labor. The driver can feel it. The driver can hear it, but you can see it right at wide open throttle for Sean Reed, and you can see how much quicker that Josh Hart was able to out-accelerate him up until his car started to spin the tires. But the key component there for Sean Reed is they get some data coming into the second round.
When we come back, Tony Stewart will make his Virginia Motorsports Park debut in Top Fuel. He certainly raced at the Circle Track in Richmond, but this, his first Top Fuel adventure on the drag strip.
For your plaque psoriasis. Thanks to Skyrizi, I'm playing with clearer skin. 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, had a vaccine, or plan to.
With Skyrizi, nothing on my skin means everything. Ask your dermatologist about Skyrizi. Learn how AbbVie can help you save.
Speed, power, performance, and top-notch results on the turf and on the track. Skag Power Equipment is mowing down the competition. Built by hard-working Americans in state-of-the-art facilities, Skag machines are made to last. Don't get left behind. Visit your local Skag dealer to discover the Skag difference for yourself. Skag, simply the best.
If you want to take your vehicle's performance to new heights, you got to give it P. Like our original equipment technology, antifreeze and coolant. Our formulas match the vehicle manufacturer's technology requirements so that we have the perfect match for every vehicle. That's one reason why Peak is among the fastest growing brands of coolant in America. We work harder to earn the trust of people like you every day.
Get ready to play NHRA. Play NHRA is a campaign bringing fantasy, gaming, and betting to NHRA drag racing. Scan the flow code to see options available in your state. Sign up for an account and earn bonus bets to use towards NHRA fantasy gaming and betting. Get started at the official portal for NHRA betting. Play NHRA. 21 plus. Please refer to affiliated operators' terms and conditions. Void where prohibited. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Tonight it's Baseball Night America on Fox as Matt Olson powers the Braves against Aaron Judge and the dreaded Yankees, or the NL Central leading Brewers battle our new director's favorite team, the Padres. It all begins at 7 Eastern on Fox. Check for the game in your local area, as now we have Tony Stewart making his way back to the starting line next to Brittany Force. Let's just call it like it is. These are 2 cars that need to fix the problem in qualifying.
Well, 2 things that really stood out watching the Bristol coverage was the raw emotion from Bob Tasca, the raw emotion from Tony Stewart, the door slam, declined an interview. I can actually respect that because the expectations for this team should be more. And nothing personal, I'm sure he's going to be fair, but likely firm with this team that the expectations should be more. They've tested. They're no longer a new team. I know they've been shifting some weight distribution issues because, of course, Leah was a lighter driver. But at this stage, you got to start to turn the corner.
And they both smoked the tires in sequence, with Tony Stewart coasting to a 474 at 158 miles an hour. And I don't know if they can reinforce Durango rear windows and doors, but they may want to start trying.
Well, what's encouraging is they can take the data from early in the run and they can fix that. What they are going to see in the next session is going to be worse than what you have now. There's going to be more rubber on the track, but the increase in track temperature is going to create a problem. You can see for Brittany Force, her loss of traction comes earlier. For Tony Stewart, it's right at about 350 feet.
The next pair has completed their burnouts. It is Clay Millican and Billy Torrance. And let's look, Tony, at a couple of the races that, we talk about the races Clay won last year. The Pep Boys drone looking down at the Parts Plus Top Fueler. Now we get a peek here at Billy Torrance. When these guys won, they have won a couple of oddball races, and they have won them on hot racetracks, speaking of Clay Millican.
They're heavy hitters, no doubt about that. Billy Torrance continues to make improvements. Back in the seat full time, it's only going to help his driving. But Clay Millican, always a surprise. We didn't. He's one of those guys that you really don't see coming. Yeah. You always expect Torrance and Justin Ashley, of course, Doug Coletta, Sean Langdon. But Clay Millican, just when you start to not talk about him, they'll jump up and set quick time.
And Billy Torrance tries to do that, and he does. 4:03.4 at a blistering 240 miles an hour. Millican goes 4:44.4 at 182. Now, will the funny car contingent harass the Top Fuel guys if they are the quicker class today?
Well, they should. These longer wheelbase cars should have the advantage because of leverage, and you can see the blower belt. It looks like an explosion, or at least a blower back supercharger backfire from Clay Millican. Take a look.
Definitely shredded the belt. It does seem like the blower is still hooked to the top of the engine, which is good news for everybody involved, but you saw the blower belt exit stage right. The cackle begins anew on the starting line, this time with a man who has made the last two finals, one Bristol. That, of course, is Tony Schumacher, the Snake Eater Bourbon with the Leatherwood Distillery, as well as Michael Waltrip Brewing Company on the side of that car. Michael Waltrip said, yeah, keep it on there. We're going to do Bristol. You go ahead and keep it on there if you're going to keep going rounds. Across the racetrack, it's the Matco Tools, Sirius XM, Hangster for his dragster, Toyota as well for Antron Brown.
These are two teams that should do well in these hotter conditions. Antron Brown, when the conditions get cool and the cars get quicker, he may not be in the top three, may not be in the top four, but he can get close. He's always steady, very consistent driver. And, of course, Tony Schumacher, the last couple of races, as we've seen this upward trend towards an increase in temperature, has done well.
And Antron Brown takes it to the house, a 390 at 318 miles an hour. And he says, there's some nitro in your eye to the funny car contingent as he goes low.
If you have a good ear, you can really hear what these cars are doing, what the tuner is doing to the car. Typically, we'll hear the engine rev up. It'll rev up. Take a listen. Where it typically pulls the motor down, you can hear it. They're just not yanking on the motor. They're not applying as much clutch. They're keeping the engine revved up. They're slipping the clutch in the middle of the course, and the reward is the quick time to this point.
A great run for Antron Brown. He has currently outqualified the field by nearly a full, actually I should say more than a full tenth of a second. But this man, Justin Ashley, is waiting in the wings, along with Steve Torrance, Doug Coletta, and others. Stay with us.
One of the main reasons for poor vehicle performance is a dirty fuel system. It can cause decreased fuel economy and actually do harm to your engine over time. By adding Lucas Fuel Treatment to your vehicle, it cleans and lubricates the entire fuel system, pump, carburetors, fuel injectors, and valves as you drive. It also improves your vehicle's performance. It's a non-solvent product designed to protect both gasoline and diesel engines. Lucas Fuel Treatment. It works.
WeatherTech products are designed and manufactured in America using only American raw materials. Most competitors make things 7,000 miles away and then wonder why they don't fit. With WeatherTech in your vehicle, you may hear angels singing as you marvel. How do they do it? Simple. American technology and American workers deliver quality, not imported junk for a few bucks less. Get the world's best floor liners and support America. Find your fit at WT.com.
Right now, you can get a free footlong at Subway. Just buy any footlong in the app and get one free. Just scan the QR code and enter promo code FLBOGO. It only works from the other side of the screen, buddy.
You still got a landline in your house.
Order now on the Subway app.
If you feel like things don't add up right now, you're not alone. So we've lowered the price on hundreds of your favorite products. Because when the cost of living goes up, we find new ways to go low. It's why we're here. That's a promise, not a promo.
Hey Lexus, show alternate routes.
Technology that's ready for the road ahead. The Lexus NX.
Tonight, in your spacious La Quinta suite, your eyes could use a break after a long day of seeing, things. But hey, free waffles always make you forget. Tonight, La Quinta. Tomorrow, you shine.
Just about anything belongs on a burger, as long as it has Sargento 100% real natural cheese. Unlike pasteurized processed cheese food, which is only required to contain 51% cheese. That's why all these people only use this.
Sargento. We're real cheese people.
In 10 years, Lisa Schneider will have an amazing second act, thanks to career reskilling courses from AARP to help make sure her income lives as long as she does. The younger you are, the more you need AARP.
All new Friday Night SmackDown at 8/7 Central on Fox.
The Play NHRA Virginia Nationals is sponsored by Mission Foods. Make today delicious with Mission Foods. Now that's too fast, too tasty. A look at the cannon from the Pamplin Historical Park, the National Museum of the Civil War Soldier. A lot of Civil War history in this area. Joe Costello, there is a civil war between the drag racers and the weather going on right now.
Yeah, that is a fact, Brian. Spoke with Bobby Lagana. He says a 390 like Antron just ran would be great in these conditions, so they're shooting for that. Mama Kay back at the track for the first time in 4 races. Grandbaby Harper Sloan, born just days ago. Steve racing as a father 2 times here in Virginia.
We heard him talk about that previous to the birth of his second child. It was going to weigh on him a little bit, as it would with any expectant second-time dad, having both been in that position. We understand. Sean Langdon, the Coletta Air Car, is going to rely on Brian Houston's brains for the tune-up.
Well, now they have the target. They know the track will hold at 390. If they can get close to that, that's likely the goal.
And neither of them will get it. 4:10.9 to 2:27 for Sean Langdon. Very good early numbers, but it just didn't stick. A 4:30 at 2:01 for Torrance.
It just seems that they're doing the same. They're all doing the same thing. Of course, with the exception of Antron Brown, it's a very strong run. You can almost, it almost looks like Sean Langdon is pointed towards the inside. He makes the correction like an experienced driver would, but you can see the raw fuel first. It almost seemed like the engine shut off for Sean Langdon, not necessarily slipping the tire.
And a super slow-mo look with the misfiring cylinder for Sean Langdon, which would eventually lead to the clutch snagging, smoke of the tires, and that's that. Bruno Massos with current #1 qualifier, Antron Brown.
Right now, Antron Brown has got that #1 spot hammered down by 12/100ths of a second. Antron, do you ever think a 390 would have a field covered in top fuel?
No, not at all, Bruno. But when you get in these kind of conditions out here, this hot's tricky. The thing about this track's nice and smooth, so that really helps out. But this is going to be the hottest conditions we ever raced on all year. We get 2 more licks at today. Brian Karate, Mark Oswald, Brad Macy's, Macro boys, Lucas Oil boys, they've been working hard. And hey, man, got to know how to navigate. This is going to be race day tomorrow. So I like where we sit. Go back, work on it a little bit more, and see what we can do.
If there is anybody that can have a sense of satisfaction at this moment at top fuel, it's that one guy right now.
Yeah, and, they're going to sit on that 390. There's another pair that likely can take that spot. Doug Coletta, they're very aggressive. This car really stands out when the conditions are cool. Not quite as good and not as high a percentage of success going down the track when it starts to warm up. But in the other lane, it's Justin Ashley, one of those drivers that is good when it's cool, good when it's hot. He just seems to be an all-around good driver, all-around good car they give him.
The Scan Power Equipment Dragster, top of your screen. Beautiful look down from the Pep Boys drone. And for Doug Coletta, these are the 1 and 2 cars in the points. For Doug Coletta, he grabbed that points lead because of the back-to-back finals he has been in on tour. He won the first one, and then he got beat at Bristol, Tennessee.
Yeah, and it was in that final round. Both cars lost traction, but for Doug, he was a couple of cars late getting out of the gate, and I haven't spoken with him yet. I'd like to ask him. It's tough to ask a driver that because it seems to get in his head, but there's no one out here with as much experience as Doug, a driver with the ability to just put that behind him. But it almost seemed like it was a double step. We couldn't hear it, but that's what happens to a driver when you're anticipating that light and you get a little too armed up. You start to get to where on wide open throttle mode and you catch yourself. I think he did it twice, and that might have explained why he was so late off the line.
And Doug Coletta goes to the finish line 4:08.4. It is a 4:08.1 for Ashley. Both teams had very similar ideas on how to get to the end of the course.
Yeah, it's amazing how close they were in elapsed time, but it was Justin Ashley that was about 3 to 400ths of a second better early in the run. That may have been because his car was running on 8 cylinders at that stage, but similar. And you can, the track is so smooth, we don't see the chassis getting upset and unloading the tire like what we saw a couple of times in the same lane in Bristol. But what happens is when they start to slip the clutch, what they have to do is they have to continue to do that. Now they have to adjust the fuel system to correspond with what they're doing to the clutch.
It is all an interlocking, interwoven system of mechanical parts in these machines, and Antron Brown's team has done the best job of using them all so far today. He's number 1 at 390. Then it is Torrance, Reed, Ashley, Coletta, Langdon, Torrance, and Hart. Now on the backside of the field, big names: Milliken, Schumacher, Stewart, Ferret, Force, and Dan Mercier is sitting 15th. Lex June did not run the first session. We do have 16 cars here. And of course, we have a Bruno Massel at the big end.
Out here with Top Fuel World Champion Doug Coletta. Doug, you're sitting 4th after that first qualifying session. It's very taxing on not only the crew chiefs and the crews, but the drivers as well. How do you cope with this extreme heat and that 20-layer fire suit?
Yeah, I think all of us drivers, we just want that wind light to come on. So, yeah, it was a little warm, but, my car, it seemed like it was going to make it and then didn't. But, we got 2 more qualifying sessions here, and we'll be gunning for tomorrow for sure.
So, Doug, we'll flash back to Bristol. I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, but you're a guy who's razor sharp on the tree. Razor sharp as a driver. What happened up there in the starting line that final?
Yeah, I just kind of double-stepped it without hitting the gas, so it was one of those deals. But everybody's trying real hard, and I'm certainly got a great car here and just trying to make it happen on my end, but screwed it up that time.
Well, stay cool today, buddy.
All right, thanks.
And that's why this season long, it is a long haul to a championship. And we're talking NHRA, Play NHRA. You can check out the Play NHRA initiative by scanning this flow code or going to nhra.com/Play NHRA. But it's all about fantasy, gaming, and of course gambling. We've talked about the odds. It is a new era in the world of NHRA where you can interact with this sport in ways you never have before. It has been a beautiful, scorching hot day here in Virginia. We are not done yet. Our qualifying coverage to show you the final qualifying results, as well as the Mission 2 Fast 2 Tasty Challenge, will be 1 p.m. Sunday on FS1, and you'll watch the race at 5 p.m. Eastern. Thank you to Bruno Massel. Thank you to Joe Costello and Tony Pedregon. I'm Brian Lones. We're in the AC, and thankfully you're watching from home. The rest of these fans, they earned it today. We'll see you on Sunday.
The Red Hot Mets coming up live against the Cubs. That's Francisco Lindor hitting over 350 in 5 games against the Cubs this season.